Cricket, there are centuries, and then there are centuries that win matches. But very few can claim to have scored centuries that shifted paradigms. In Indian cricket, it happened in 1983, when Kapil Dev rescued India at Tunbridge Wells. Remember Tunbridge Wells? That unforgettable 175 in a World Cup match? Then 34 years later, it happened again. Once again in England, a score in excess of 170, this time too in a World Cup. And once again, it changed Indian cricket, or to be precise, Indian women's cricket. So today on number 19 in this countdown sits one courageous knock by Harmanpreet Kaur that not only gave India a win for the ages, but accelerated the pace of change in women's cricket in the country. Earlier in the series, we had talked about how Mithali Raj and Jhulan Goswami kept Indian cricket in the news for all the right reasons in the 2000s. It seemed for once that the massive gap between the attention received by the men's and the women's team was beginning to get bridged. By the time the 2010s began, though, men's cricket and its popularity had once again surged ahead thanks to this behemoth called the Indian Premier League. Many wondered if the women's game could also benefit from a franchise-based league. There were, of course, demands for the same made by the women cricketers as well, and there were some half-hearted assurances made in response too. But somewhere, despite the talent coming into women's cricket, and there was a fair amount of it, the results weren't there yet. Remember, India had made a round one exit at the 50-over World Cup at home in 2013. Then a similar result followed when the T20 World Cup came home in 2016. Not only were the results disappointing for the supporters of the women's game, the gap seemed to be widening too, especially with the men's team winning 3 ICC trophies in a span of 6 years. And of course, there was the IPL and its undeniable glitz and glory. But surely, something had to give. Could a World Cup win in England change things, especially after this forgettable campaign in 2013? It definitely seemed like something the Indian women's team that was led by Mithali Raj had prepared for, because from match one itself, they bowled, batted and especially fielded like they were ready. It was not just about Mithali and Jhulan this time. The young guns were stepping up, meaning that India started their tournament with a 4-match winning streak. This was proving to be a sensational performance from the team, and that meant even the naysayers were now tuning in to the matches. And they definitely tuned in when the semi-final of the tournament began, where India was pitted against their forever kryptonite, Australia. And I say kryptonite because by this time, India and Australia had met in 42 women's ODIs, and the Aussies led the head-to-head by 34-8. The most recent loss came a week ago in the same tournament. So when Harmanpreet walked out to bat at 35 for 2, there must have been some people wondering whether a familiar script would unfold in Derby. Not today, said Harmanpreet in the most vehement of ways. Everyone knew about Harmanpreet's ability to hit big, but nobody till then had seen the kind of fury that she unleashed that day. On that bright afternoon in Derby, she belted an Australian bowling attack that had 3 names in the tournament's highest wicket takers list for 24s and 7 sixes. I was watching it and I thought, wow, how far is this going to go? Especially the way she shifted gears that left everyone stunned. 68 runs came in the first 75 balls, where she steadied the innings with Mithali and Deepthi. And then Harmanpreet went Thor mode. 103 came in the next 40 deliveries. Don't forget, this was a woman batting in pain because of a finger injury that she was carrying. Look of determination on Harman's face told you nothing was going to stop her that day, and nothing did. She made 171 out of India's score of 281. The Aussies were still reeling from that attack by Harman when the chase began, and it never threatened to overhaul India's 281. The kryptonite had been conquered. Yes, India didn't go on to win the final. In fact, saw it slip from their grasp to end in heartbreak. That Harman knock changed something in Indian cricket. It turned heads. It made people sit up and take notice. It single-handedly, if I may say so, took the women's game to the next level. There was no way anybody in any corner of the country would not have heard of it. Surely that performance was a big factor in the overall viewership for the final, reaching a record high of 126 million in India. Of course, the quality of the opposition, the occasion, as well as the overall cricket played by the team throughout the tournament helped. In fact, 2017 proved to be one of India's best years in cricket, where they won 16 out of 20 ODIs. One of the first rewards after Harman returned home came in the form of an Arjuna Award, always a matter of pride for any athlete in the country. A Women's Big Bash League contract soon followed, where she ended as the Thunder's player of the tournament. But truth be told, it wasn't the personal rewards that Harmanpreet fetched, it was the collective interest that she generated in the women's game in the country that went a long way in taking women's cricket to the next level. Just like Harman did in Derby, the women's game in the country had shifted gears. The tournament showed how quickly the women's team was moving towards a more attacking brand of cricket. In the years that followed, the likes of Smriti, Jemima, Deepti, Shefali have all shown that they can take the attack to the opposition from time to time, in the same way Harmanpreet did that day in Derby. Within 2 years of that knock by Harmanpreet, the Women's T20 Challenge came up, a precursor to the Women's Premier League, which itself took off in 2023 and is here to stay. The bigger news came in 2022 when the board announced equal pay for women cricketers. Off the field too, the women cricketers have become big brands themselves with millions of social media followers, and this is just one of the many wonderful things that have happened around women's cricket since that knock by Harman, who also, by the way, became captain of the side in 2018. Yes, there have been centuries, several of them bigger than Harman's 171, but none of them could possibly claim to have changed cricket the way this one did. And at the end, as I always do, a question for you. Harman's 171, despite its importance in Indian cricket, is still not the highest score by an Indian woman in ODIs. Who holds that record? So thanks for watching and do subscribe to this channel.